Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle. Look at that. Are we live?
We are. We're live.
You know, that came faster. That came faster than I thought it was going to.
I know, because I talk so much. That's the problem. Cheers.
Cheers.
When we have Hermit Woods. Cheers. We're live.
When we have a live audience like we do,
And a live audience. Cheers to the live audience. Yes.
then they get to see the preamble prior to the actual
Yes.
live.
Yes.
But the other people out there have no
They just
idea
have to
what's
guess
going
the
on.
craziness that goes on before we start this show. So welcome everybody to another Monday live with us here at Hermit Woods. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you're new to the show, you're arriving for the first time, we'd really appreciate it if you'd let us know you're here, like the broadcast, share it with your friends if you think your friends or family would like to learn about the things that we talk about here. And if you are joining us, please make a comment in the comment section and leave your name or let us know you're here so that we can say hello. And if you have questions, please ask questions. We want this to be in real time. If you ask questions, either Marika will answer them directly right away, or she will bring them to the group so that we can all answer them together.
And if you're here, you could type your question, or you could just raise your hand and
ask it.
Ask
because we have a live audience today. It's rare. So the other thing is, if you want to be notified of this type of event or other live events that we do, no, it's the wrong place. It's over here.
It's over there.
Yeah, it's under Marika. Right, Marika?
On your left?
No. Yeah, it's under you. So if you're on YouTube, directly under Marika is a subscribe button, and we would love it if you'd push that and subscribe to our channel. And if you're on Facebook, there's a little bell on the screen. Just click that bell, and that will subscribe you to Facebook. And if you're subscribed, anytime we go live, you're going to get a little notification if you're on Facebook or YouTube that says that we're live again. And who knows where we go live from? We go live from sailboats, from ski areas, from racetracks. Who knows? Cheers.
Cheers to the adventure. Yes, it is.
So again, thank you all for being here. What are we doing today? So look at this. Look at this spread that we have here. We're so excited. On Friday, as it was, I got a call from a couple folks who have started a cheese company in Meredith. And you can only imagine how excited I was to have a cheese company in Meredith. I mean, we get a lot of cheese from local producers, but a lot of our producers are in Vermont. And I know there are some great producers, and we get some cheese from some local producers, but nowhere near as local as I think a couple miles down the road. If that. So I was really excited to learn about this new cheese company, and so we decided, after talking for a few minutes on the phone, that it might be fun to learn about this new cheese company in person with you as our guests, and try some of their cheese and find out how maybe some of this cheese might end up on our menu here at Hermit Woods, and possibly even be available for sale so that you folks can come out and enjoy this cheese as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our two guests, Tim and PJ. Yes. And good, I got that right. I screw up names all the time. It's a small miracle that I was able to get that correct.
Thank you.
So welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great that you, in such an impromptu fashion, were able to make time to come out here. And
that's sometimes the best when it's sort of short notice, and so the gears start churning, and you come up with stuff. And I know nothing about this. Marika and I had all sorts of plans for Bob's birthday today. But we'll do that next week or some other Monday when he's least expecting it, which will be fun. And but I would love to hear what it is you do, how you ended up in Meredith, because that's really
how did you become a cheese company in Meredith?
That's all the place.
Well, our story starts about 20 6 years ago. I was home from college and was waitressing at the Corner House Inn. And PJ was a chef in the back kitchen. And we fell in love in the kitchen way back then.
I was visiting the Corner House, probably close to the time that you were there. We started visiting the Corner House when
In the 90s,
we first moved here in 95, 96.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and PJ stopped cooking. He went to college and he stopped cooking. Gosh, our son's 20, so over 20 years ago, professionally. And now we get to enjoy his food when we're home. And right before COVID hit that fall, he was eating a lot of salads with feta on it. And I was baking and cooking a lot from scratch. And I thought one night, I can do this. I can make cheese. It's really no different than baking. And, I learned a little bit. It's all about time, culture. And he sort of, I think, originally said, I'm not sure you can do this. And so I started.
Sounds like a conversation we had about 20 years ago relative to wine.
Something like
Wait a
that.
minute, we can do this. Really?
So I got some goat milk and made a goat cheese one night when he was playing men's hockey, because goat cheese you can make it that night and enjoy it, and it worked. And then I was like, all right, we'll keep going. So then I decided to try feta, and it worked, and we enjoyed it. And then COVID hit, and we'd been playing a little bit. So what did we do all during COVID?
Made cheese.
Yes, many of you may have seen me at times going through Hannaford, and back then, you could only buy like 2 gallons a week, right? But which is fine. But we were still making a ton of cheese, so we started sharing it with friends and different people, and like, you guys, maybe you should look at selling your cheese. Well, that requires getting licensed. So you want to
Having a commercial kitchen? Is that what? Yeah.
So dairy is licensed through the Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Food. So we actually have our license. We have a dairy production license.
It doesn't sound easy to get.
It was a challenge, but my husband and my son did most of the construction, and we made a small licensable space in our house, and we've been licensed now for about 15 months.
Yeah, about 15 months.
So that's set aside as a commercial kitchen, certified, or fits their guidelines or whatever, and
absolutely.
it's a separate space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the cheese needs to be produced there.
Yes.
Exactly.
So then where do you sell the cheese?
So right now we do private sale through our Facebook website. We had been featured on the menu over at Osterio Poggio
Oh, yeah.
earlier this month. And we have a following. We'll let people know when we're cooking and what will be available. And as we talk about the cheeses, we can talk about which ones we can sort of make on demand versus which ones take a couple of weeks just because of the curing process. But yeah.
Did you turn your home kitchen into this?
No.
Or did you build any space just for that?
Yes, it's a totally separate space, and the only thing that's done in it is making cheese.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have some fun in there too, I guess. We make cheese, have fun, laugh.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah, it's a fairly long process, so you have some time in between different steps. So.
So how long did it take you from when you made your very first batch of feta, which sounds like, to when you had this epiphany, like, aha, this
This
is
is a goat cheese.
this. What?
Well,
It's a goat
Is
cheese.
it goat cheese? Was I not listening?
the very first night was
That's the
goat
way the
cheese.
story-
Yeah, and then
Sorry.
Thank you.
How long?
Let's screw names up, cheeses, whatever.
I think it was 6 months. So by June of that, so then we're in the throes of COVID, right? And we all had so much time, right? So you're sitting around, you're dreaming. Some people learned to knit or crochet during COVID. We
Learn to make cheese.
realized that we really, truly still love being in the kitchen together and creating things that people enjoy.
That's great. It's amazing how different that whole experience was for everybody. I mean, it wasn't like we had any extra time whatsoever during COVID. It was anything. It was less time of
You guys
anything.
had less time.
You had time. So everybody had a different situation
Yes,
that went through, and a whole bunch of creative things happened, both staying in business and starting a business or
Reading.
pursuing whatever, reading, doing different things. It's amazing.
Exactly.
And I think the world is seeing that. There's a lot of different things happening now that's sort of uncharted territory.
And
which is fun.
contactless service became, important then. So it was very easy for us to say, you pick it up at, you pay online, you pick it up in our driveway, because people weren't going into stores. So we were almost
Perfect.
catering versus seeming like it
Here's
was-
your bag. You put it on a little stick. Put it out.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
I mean, really, our business started very similarly. As 15 or 16 years ago, I don't know what exactly, in the late 90s, early 2003 or 4 when we went to Boston. I forget what. Six? Is that what it was? Okay, so 16 years ago or so, we drove to Boston to buy grapes. And it was our first sort of foray into exploring the concept of making wines. And that turned into a hobby at first that we were just excited about and pursued with a lot of vigor, and brought in all kinds of variables into that hobby.
There's probably no limit legally to making cheese on a home capacity. See, in this country, a household is allowed to make up to 200 gallons of wine or beer for personal consumption. And that's a limit. And we got really excited about that, and we're making a lot of stuff because it's fun to make it, and you've got new ideas and new things to make. But maybe with cheese, you could just make more cheese, and then they may not regulate that at a home level because it's not an entity that's going to be as heavily taxed as alcohol.
you can make, yes, you certainly can make
You can make
it.
as much as you want, right?
But it was really when it came to people saying, we would love to buy this from you. And then it was sort of, okay, now we got to go learn how to do it and do it so it can be safe too. And
Right.
all of
So
those
then you got to
pieces,
follow
you're
the
dealing with live
criteria.
bacteria and cultures.
Yeah, and cheese has a much shorter shelf life than wine, so we could produce a bunch of wine, and that's okay. It'll just sit around in our cellar until we're ready to drink it, which could be potentially years down the road. Whereas you have to find, you can make all the cheese you want, but unless you want to throw a bunch of cheese away, you have to find something to do with it, and that's where this.
And that must have it grew out of the hobby. I mean, this business grew out of our hobby. We got really excited about it, and we're finally not only legally pushing up against what you're supposed to do, but space in my house or whatever. And you guys were excited, and you're making more cheese and eating as much cheese as you want. But, what do we do with all this extra? Maybe we sell it. And friends, it sounds like we're wanting it
Exactly.
anyway. And that's the key. There's been a lot of businesses, I think, that make great stuff that
And
start.
you give it to them, and then they say, we don't want you just to give it to us. We want to pay you for it because we know that you're putting in the time and the effort and everything. And then
Now, do you co-craft
we do.
the aspects of the feta? And I don't know much about making cheese, but I'm sure not all feta is the same. And so it depends on your starting ingredients and the process. And are there things that you guys do together, or one of you, principally the cheese maker, and one of
I'm
you is
curious how you answer this. I'll let you take it.
Well, I was going to say, it goes back and forth. It really depends on the timing of things and availability. And
Okay.
we both make it, and I maybe tend to do more on the finished product of mixing some things with the ingredients to taste, and that's just based on background. Because
as a chef.
As a chef, it's the sort of science figure side.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
and each batch is a little bit different in sometimes size, so you have to kind of scale the ingredients up or down, and not everything is a direct relationship. So
So she makes 40 pounds of feta and says, all right, can you come up with some ways to move this? And
Exactly. I was making 1 gallon of milk, and we need to figure out how to make it 5 gallons, and it's not just times 5 of everything. Yeah.
Right.
So there's definitely that. I tend to find a cheese and think, I think we could make that, and I'll pitch it to him, and he'll hem and haw, and then we'll try it. Like, for example, we're gonna try the hulami a little bit later, and that's sort of, it's new, it's different. It's a Turkish cheese is friable and grillable.
Yep.
It's pretty basic, but it's sort of trendy. So I'll do some of that, or I might say, I think that these things will go well together, and he'll be like, okay, I'll make it happen, and then he goes off.
okay, all right. Right.
Like he's doing right now.
So are we just going to look at it? I'm going to ask a question. Are we going to look at this, or are we going to eat
No,
this?
one more question before we
one more before that?
One more question. Where do you
Right.
source your ingredients for all your cheese?
So interestingly, during COVID and at the beginning, we did a lot of research. We tried some of the local dairy products. Right now, we buy all of our milk through Hannaford, which we've ensured is all New Hampshire-based milk. So, right, the New Hampshire dairies are contributing to the milk.
Yep.
Versus if we were to buy, for example, through a Walmart or some of those places, it might
Could be
not
from
be
wherever.
a New Hampshire base.
Yep.
So we did that. I just lost my train of thought.
Ingredients, you're sourcing your ingredients.
So we also use all pasteurized milk at this point. And interestingly with that, we can make a lot of types of cheeses and product that those who are using unpasteurized milk cannot. And so I was actually just talking to a licensed about a month ago. And she was the woman from the department was very excited to talk to me about that. You know, things that we can do that is actually different. So why don't we start with just a little bit of tasting of our cheeses, just sort of virgin, nothing done to them.
Okay.
They're just sort of how they come
Okay.
out. We'll start with the feta, which is sort of the square.
Right here?
Right there, yeah.
Is this on the camera? Can people see this?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
That's absolutely good. So this one here, that's rectangular,
Yeah.
or
So the rectangular one, exactly. So when we want to try and out, so when we're making the feta, we make it in individual molds. So it almost a little brick, and that's how we sell it. So you get the whole brick versus the crumbles.
Can we show this on the?
Absolutely.
On the oh, I can put it up here. It's not too far.
So it tends to be a little bit creamier than a store-bought.
I've never focused on feta cheese before, so it's all just a new fun experiment for me.
Which one is?
It's the rectangular one.
Rectangular one.
So it's a crumbly cheese that's used as feta is used. With all sorts of
Exactly.
different things.
And it can be creamier than sort of say when we get the crumbles at the grocery, or and when we make it and we sell it, it also stays in its brine and it's cured for about 2 weeks, and then that's how we sell it. And so it will stay about 4 to 6 months in our refrigerator. Most of our customers, it's a couple of days that it lasts in the fridge.
So tell me a little bit about starting with pasteurized milk as opposed to raw whole milk, because I always thought cheese you needed to start with whole raw milk.
So that
And
in that,
pasteurized has killed everything. And
so there's high. Okay, let's be honest here. We're cheese makers, but we know a certain amount about the science of cheese, and then we're sort of winging it, to be honest.
That's okay. We've been doing it for 20 years. We know how that goes. We learn. Have to do it to learn,
See
right?
how I do it this way. But when milk is pasteurized, it's high heat pasteurization or more of a lower heat. So the milk product that we're using is pasteurized at a safe level, but it's not super high pasteurization. So it's not killing everything. We also have to put, we add in calcium chloride, which is a recommendation that helps all the molecules sort of bond together better. And if you're using pasteurized or fresh milk, you wouldn't probably have to do that.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of a difference.
So was there a choice to use pasteurized milk over whole milk?
Well, the unpasteurized milk is a whole different process and liability process. So it's
It's a different licensing.
it's the same license. We would have had to buy more equipment and do more things.
Right.
It sort of would have
Oh,
taken us to
interesting.
the next
Okay.
level, and just starting off, we were able to build in the kitchen and get licensed
Yeah.
with starting.
So
with
there's less infrastructure, less steps,
less steps.
starting with pasteurized milk.
Exactly. It's also easier, so we can go down to Hannaford and fill it up, the cart up,
Get what you need.
15 gallons. We
Yep.
live less than a mile from Hannaford. So versus if we were to be buying from Maddie Huffman's or something like that, which would be wonderful, we have to figure out how to get to Maddie. And then we have to get a milk transportation license to get her milk to our house.
Right.
And then we have to have a large commercial refrigerator to keep the milk in it until we're ready, versus we go down to Hannaford and
Get it when you're ready.
get it when we're ready. Exactly.
Okay.
The second cheese, we can go.
I just want to say that this is delicious.
Oh, good, I'm glad you
That is delicious, and it goes brilliantly with the sake rosé. Which I guess
It goes really well with red scare. Doesn't it? Yeah, it goes really nicely.
I would get that too. The soft cheeses. And,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm having the blue, right? Am I having the blue?
I think I poured you Red Scare as well.
This is delicious. Whatever.
I think so.
I love it. So the second one, let's go to the wedge.
Is this the wedge? Okay.
So the wedge is yes. So that's it's pork. It's Quark. So German soft cheese, very similar to cream cheese. You can but you can taste that sort of tangy bite in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yes, it's very much.
That's very
And
yogurt-like.
that's exactly how we make it. We basically make a yogurt texture, and then it hangs in cheesecloth for about.
So it's a lacto-based cheese.
Yes.
Lactobacillus that does the tang, creates that
Right.
character to it.
It also goes very good with rosé.
And that we don't
Not so good with the Red Scare.
Okay, yeah.
our customers can buy the quark plain, but generally we make spreads with it and sort of sell it that way.
It seems like it would be very good for yeah,
Mhm.
mixed in with
Yeah, yeah.
granola or like.
Well, I love that idea. Would you say a stiff yogurt or what?
Okay.
Solid yogurt. I like that description.
That final one there, the clump, that is ricotta, and it's not going to have a lot of a flavor profile by itself. But I wanted you guys to see it in that sort of form because you can notice that it's quite dry versus if you buy like a store
Oh, it
bought
had basically
ricotta.
no flavor.
Right, and that's sort of
Exactly what people like.
That's kind of what you want with ricotta. 'Cause ricotta absorbs the flavors of, we use it.
Yeah, I've never had ricotta plain before in my entire life. I don't think
so
it's like this.
yeah, and when you cook with it, with it being drier, it sort of holds together better. So we can, we'll take ribbons of zucchini and do a rollatini or make a pillow,
Yep.
and it doesn't sort of ooze out because it stays.
stiff.
Yeah, it's got that body.
Now, do you express out any liquid when you're making it? Like you might do a tofu or something. Do you get rid of some liquid in there with ricotta, or is that not a part
It
of the
drains.
process?
Yeah, so
It drains. It does
Yep,
drain.
it drains,
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't squeeze it, you just let it drain.
It's not
out.
pressed.
No,
No,
not at all.
you can make a ricotta salata where you would take the ricotta curd and then compress it.
And actually, it does have a flavor. It has a nice flavor. It coming off of the intensity. of the
That's
other
what
one.
the second bite. It has a very nice flavor.
Yeah.
It's very mellow, but right coming out from the one before, I'm like, well, that doesn't have any flavor at all.
Right.
But after you acclimate to it, it is
And
quite
it's
nice.
not salty. I mean, typically you would probably salted ricotta if you're going to put it in a red sauce or something, but we keep it plain because we also turn it into dessert product. So so there's even.
I kind of like that. You can add salt to anything, right? You don't need to start with it. It's like unsalted butter. It gives you the control you really
The
want.
base.
Yeah.
So then you can go in a lot of different directions. It can control it depending on who's eating it and things like that. So
Wow.
You ever blend? Try feta and ricotta together.
Ooh, we've not done feta and ricotta
It's
yet.
actually quite nice because I was looking for something that's kind of staying with the texture, but adding a little zing to it and salt. And the ricotta feta,
Nice combination. Yeah.
it just I don't know.
Well, you can see by my plate being almost empty, and I'm afraid you're going to tell me that I'm supposed to save some for some next course or whatever. But I'm glad you didn't tell me that.
we should go with that because the heat's not quite working. So
So is the flour just decoration or is it edible?
Just decoration.
right.
Gas is good.
Yeah.
We could put a new can in.
Or can we send
I knew that would happen, right? Right in the middle of the show.
Right in the middle. There's always a little something.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
right.
Bob
We
is
have another
doing
can.
that. Why don't you bring that last? Would you mind, because you're closer? Would you bring the sample? And then maybe these folks would like to try. There's one plate that we had an extra one, so if you'd like us
hope that's empty.
to try. Join us.
I've seen you on a sailboat with liquid fuel.
Not
so
a problem.
We'll tell that story.
PJ Hunt, there's got a couple little ones. Thank you.
I've got
Wonderful. While they're doing that, would it make sense for me to
Take it
talk
from
a
there.
little bit about a couple of things that are in front of us?
Yeah.
So on this plate, we have two of our spreads that we make, and funny, the great like you were talking about combining the ricotta and the feta. This is a combination of our Greek feta and the quark. And it also has red onion, cucumber, so it's a Greek feta dip.
Feta and pork. All right, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that too. So it seems like this is. I'm getting a sense that half of what you do is making cheese, and half of what you do is taking that cheese and doing fun stuff with it.
Yes, I would say that our cheeses are more like ingredient cheese versus standalone cheese. And I think that that's where we're also matching our talents and our passion.
Yeah, it
for
sounds like
food.
it. Yeah, to take a base and enhance it.
And that's what I was thinking about this opportunity and talking with you guys, because it sounds like you're also very creative and like the idea of let's see what we can do and how we can match them and what lines go with. Seems like a very
That's all we do every day.
When we get to it, this over here, I'll give you one. This is the kulami that we were talking about. So it's a Turkish grillable friable cheese, and this is pressed. So you're asking a little bit ago. So
Is that what you wanted me to do? Did you take the whole? Did you just grab the whole thing from her?
I did. Is that better?
with the halloumi, the curd is pressed almost into patties, and they're cooked again in the wet, which is a byproduct of the cheese, and then we serve it in chunks like this, and so it has a very high melting point. I don't even know if it melts. We've never. It will.
It will eventually, but for the most part, we had some last night. We put it right on the barbecue and grilled it just like a steak.
Really?
And served it to. Yeah.
So this serving of it, we just have a local honey from Farm by the River over in Freedom, and it's just a little bit of honey and then the fresh fruit. And we wanted to serve it that way, thinking that you have a lot of fruit lines here, and that the honey meads and things are that it might be. You guys might enjoy it that way. And then last night we actually served it hot with garlic oil on top. So it's going to be similar to what you might think of like a tofu. It's going to take on some other flavor profiles around it. It may squeak. And so it's a squeaky cheese. So that's your teeth going across the calcium strands. So some people, vegetarians, might take it and use it in a bun and sort of in place of their protein, because it's going to have that texture when they're eating it.
Like tofu.
Exactly. And people who enjoy or on the keto diet will take it and pan fry it and have it with a sugar-free ketchup, almost as in place of a French fry.
Sugar-free ketchup.
Yeah. And this sort of gets that caramely, right? It caramelizes a little bit with the crunch.
Wow. I didn't know you could play around with cheese so much. Like in different formats.
Honey.
Ooh, you okay?
This is a professional.
Okay.
You got a fire permit?
All good.
When the sprinklers go on, that's going to be one of the ultimate shows that we ever have.
Well, we don't have any sprinklers, so we don't have to worry about that.
I know.
Thank goodness, because they would have come on a few times already.
The other dip on this platter is our quirk with cranberry, maple syrup, and nuts. So that's more like a very sweet, it can almost be a dessert. Describe it a bit like that. So I would suggest pairing that with these crackers here that have cherries and almonds in them. I got those down at Carlin's earlier today. And then this is just pita for the Greek feta dip.
I'm glad you mentioned Carlin's.
Yes,
So that's how we.
That's how we met.
For the slate.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That's how we get to know each other. So you went to Carlin's because Carlin's is a wine and cheese shop. So you went to introduce your products to Carlin's, and so they suggested that you give us a call because you have local cheese as well. So Carlin's, if you haven't explored yet, is just a couple blocks down from us, and they're selling a wide selection of classic wines, very European and wines from around the world, along with cheeses from around the world. So we thank them for making this connection for us.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. They were great, and I really appreciated it. And I messaged you on Facebook, I think, because I'd seen some of your posts from here. And then he said, give me a call. It was 6 o'clock on Friday night. Now that is Greek feta dip. I thought you liked that one.
I could eat that all day.
You know what? Either like that one or they like, very people like both of them. Would you say that's true? There's
That one I can eat. This one I can eat.
that'd be a fan. That's wonderful. And the other little like lunch peppers or the sweet peppers that are, maybe this big, and you hollow them out and fill them, and delicious.
Wow. What is this? This is delicious. What is
That's our quirk with cranberries, maple syrup, and a little bit of nut. And so remember, if you think
I
back to
can try
trying the
that.
Portuguese.
I'm gonna switch here in a moment, but I started on that one.
That's fantastic. Especially the crackers have some of the fruit nuts in them as well. So you get this combination. That's brilliant.
I like that one also on a Granny Smith apple or maybe a pear. If you want to go through a little bit.
So a lot of experimentation. You guys have fun. Oh no, that needs a little bit more of this, or not so much cranberry. Or maybe a dried cherry would be good here, or that sort of thing.
And that's PJ's department for sure.
And then you're.
I know when
Okay.
it's good. I don't know how to fix it. I and he can just come in and just dial it in.
Well, I'm going to let you know. I like them
Like
both a
all
lot.
right.
What's this again?
That's our feta cheese
Yep.
and our pork cheese.
Feta. Oh, and two cheeses.
Cucumbers actually from our garden, red onion, and
Wow, the fresh green, the crunchiness, it has a very fresh character to it. It's
and that's great in the winter time when you're craving sort of,
oh, yeah. Right. Where's
You
it
want to keep
further?
going?
Just a little block. What's your
This is
little
You could, you could, I'm sure, I noticed that you have a lot of baked goods from Picnic Rock, and actually our son was a farm with Ginny and Ward for his summers in high school, and they're just fantastic folks.
Yeah,
But Ginny could probably come up with a nice bread to pair with.
Did you make this?
I did not make the pita bread.
Is this from Hannaford?
Yeah.
That's good. So you have to tell me how to find these. I kind of like them.
So why don't we do this? Not quickly, but this is just a one way. This is not. Oh,
hold on.
You need.
There we go. The heated event.
So these two items here in the middle, we're gonna have now. These are not products of ours necessarily, but it's just ways that our cheeses can be used. So this is just a very simple beet, cucumber, red onion, feta salad. It's nice and refreshing tonight. And then
Stick with that too.
in a cast iron, those.
I have to hold the wine away from Bob. Going that fast. There's not much left. I've learned a few things working with this guy.
It's my birthday. I'm supposed to give the bottle.
I'm going to open you a bottle, Bob, for your birthday. It is your birthday. You need a bottle of rosé.
It's my birthday.
Actually, Bob, I brought those flowers for you for your birthday.
Oh, thank you. There, that's it.
You enjoy them?
Beautiful flowers. Look at these beautiful flowers.
My girls and Kristen took a bouquet from our backyard today while my mom was helping me prep in the kitchen, and yeah, it was a whole team effort. So in the cast iron pan, we have a new addition. PJ and I have made twice. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I think it's Paul Petty's. So they're basically a ricotta cheese ball. You can make them gluten-free. These do have some gluten in it, just so you know. So this is basically our ricotta cheese turned into meatball.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
So it's our ricotta cheese basically turned into a meatball.
A ricotta cheese meatball.
Or you can think about it as a ravioli without the ravioli inside. It's going to be hot.
Without the pasta.
You're going to burn yourself. Wow. Just the griddle.
Don't try to replicate that. I was just excited. Wow. It is.
This looks like it's going to be spicy.
It's more sort of.
Oh, wow.
Lasagna, it looks like
Yeah.
it could be buffalo.
And I think,
Right.
I think you probably could toss those in a buffalo sauce and or
It's
something.
like lasagna without the noodles, you know?
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Got that.
Meat without the ball or
Yeah.
meatball without the meat.
Probably goes well with rosé, Bob.
No, see this, I want like cups bread or something.
You might be right.
Yep. But rosé goes really well with it too.
I will decide that.
They were fun to make. They're just make a meatball, you chill them for a little while, and then
All made by hand.
all made by hand.
It works
Yeah.
because you have, like you said, you have your pot is much drier. So you can
Yes.
pack it into shapes.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I see little green flecks. There's herbs and other things that go in here.
With my Italian, I use an Italian seasoning breadcrumb, and so it's probably just the seasoning and the herbs and the breadcrumb. I didn't, and then it's pecorino. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, pecorino romano.
Romano, grated cheese in there as
Yep.
well.
You know, I think this needs a job.
Really?
Yeah.
To go with the tang of the sauce, the tomato sauce.
That tomato sauce, something happened. Yeah. I'm not as. I don't think the rosé is as good as.
Yeah, no, that's not quite right.
Not quite right.
Okay. All right, let's go red.
That's one that I thought would go with. You were talking about the other night, the one that has the tomato undertones in it, or the tomato.
Well, that's the Winnie White. Is that what? Is that?
That
I
is,
wasn't sure if it would bring out the.
that one's right there.
I think we
Winnie
can-
White.
Yeah.
I think it might be. Right, you should try it.
I'll bring some more glasses. I'll bring some more glasses. We can do side by side.
Ken, there should be a hermitage and lily cuts right over there as well.
What's that?
There should be hermitage and lily cuts right over there.
How does that go with the Winnie White?
Oh, you're having the Winnie White.
Yes, the second glass.
You like it?
I like it.
I like both of them as well.
I love it. I'm eating this meatball.
Yeah, I'm just looking at hold together. I'm going to try to freeze them and see what might happen.
It's good together.
That work?
Yeah.
More wine. Oh, good. More glasses. I love
More
it.
glasses.
I love this job. Food, wine. Great friends.
Yes.
So, why Meredith?
Well, we moved, when we met at the summer house, as we said, and then we lived in Sandwich for about 10 years. And then we moved to Meredith when our son was in third grade. This elementary school was fantastic for him. And PJ was basically raised in Center Harbor. My folks are in Wilbur, so we just love being local. And Meredith was just the
Great.
spot.
We used to live in town.
Really?
We used to have an antique shop there.
My mother-in-law is Sheila, the town clerk, or was the town clerk for a long time.
We had from 1997 or 8 to 2001 or 2,
Okay.
3, we had really good antiques right next to. It used to be Dybros, right on Coe Hill Road there.
Oh, wow.
We were there for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
That's where we lived, right there, by the
Wonderful.
first house on
Okay.
Coe Hill. Anybody else want the Hermitage to
I'm
try?
gonna try the Hermitage.
See if I'm right.
I need another meatball. Cheese ball.
Cheese ball. It's not a meatball.
You've got some other.
I took a little bit of red.
All right, well, that's good. We'll get to 2 different examples.
And so that, the beet cucumber is just the,
This would be interesting. He said it goes really good with the Winnie White, and now if it goes good with the Winnie White and the Hermitage, that will be. You need another meatball? Cheese ball. Sorry. Want some cheese with that?
Cheese ball.
So do you sell finished foods, or do you sell the cheese balls, or do you then have recipe cards? You know,
so that we can confuse the.
because it's not a
situations, right?
restaurant, right? You're not selling.
So we have the virgin cheeses, and then we make the two spreads, the Greek feta and the maple walnut, and we make a cannoli dip with the ricotta. because cannoli filling is ricotta cheese or
We're going to bring out another wine for that one.
with sweet cream, and then we also make a cheesecake. Sort of, we call it a dip, but it's going to taste just like cheesecake, and it's corked the sweet cream. And both of those are sugar free. Well, besides the chocolate chips on top, those are sugar free. We use an all natural sugar free sweetener.
Mhm.
In those. So those products, the dips and the cheeses, we sell, and then these middles are just more. Check it out. They're on our Facebook. If we make something that we like, we'll throw a recipe up.
Well, that's a great strategy because we work with a company called Roz. They provide some wonderful sauces that we sell, or various.
Oh, you could
sauces
pair
is the
some of
right
your
word.
cheeses with some of their sauces.
You could, yeah. But what's so wonderful is that they help us a lot in creating. They have a recipe kitchen where they create wonderful recipes using all of their stuff, and we steal it directly off of their recipes and make it. And it's great. People love it. They understand their product better than anybody. So if you guys, post recipes using your cheeses, people like us will steal them and use them in our eateries.
Not stealing when that's the
your
intention.
wheelhouse.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not stealing when it's up there. And
That's the goal.
I get it. Absolutely. No, but that's a great.
He's just
a great
spicing it up.
strategy. Nobody knows your cheese is better, and you're also a professional chef, so you're going to come up with great recipes that we can take advantage of. So.
And when you have an endless supply of the ingredients, you're just it's different. We just
Yeah.
go down and grab a block.
yeah, and then whatever kind of thinking and just kind of put everything together and give it a try. And sometimes it needs a little fine tuning, and
Sure.
other times you hit it right on and it works.
For our customers.
So tell me about the beet salad.
Yeah. So it's roasted beets, cucumbers, actually from our garden that my mom picked today, red onion, and then the feta cheese and some balsamic and olive oil. We made that a couple weeks ago when it was just so hot, and it was just so refreshing, and loved it. But that's
I want to dig into that, but just want to make a statement. I overreached with Hermitage. It's too powerful. It's too much. Yeah.
I like the red was too very, though. It was too pretty.
It didn't work either?
So he
tried the red
said it
cherry?
worked with the white wine. That's what I want
Oh,
to see.
you try that.
Yeah.
not gonna give it
Is
back.
this yes?
Yours right
No, this is the
Oh.
Hermitage.
there. Oh,
It's going to be hard to follow.
Do you wanna try this
with
one?
The white wine,
Sure.
but
But you're a pro. You can do it.
I can do it.
I know you can do it, Bob. Balsamic, vinaigrette, all that stuff is really challenging for wines. The Meredith Bay White may do it because of the Sauv Blanc like nature of it. I think that'll work really well with it.
Why does why is it hard with this?
Jesus!
Yeah, I'm fine.
Wow!
Sorry.
There's some napkins right there.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're all good.
All right, the party's going on now.
and you
I
finished
don't want to
it.
waste good wine.
Wow!
Woo.
Good thing we're professional.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so
That was delicious, by the way. That worked. The Winnie White
the Winnie White.
and the
Yeah.
cheese ball.
Do you agree?
Now, how about the Meredith Bay White?
I didn't have that yet. She's good.
Because I think that'll go with the beet salad.
Okay.
Wines are typically you pair to pair with characteristics of the food.
Mhm.
So you have a high acid vinaigrette, and you want a high acid wine, which is typically a white wine, and you have a oily, savory dish, fatty dish, chocolate or meat, and often you want the tannins, the rich characteristic of a red wine to sort of pair with.
So why does the balsamics make it challenging to?
Because it's got this savory character, and then you've got
You want to have red, but you should have white, so it's hard to know which one.
it's kind of that challenge because of the tanginess of everything else that's there.
Well, just think about the powerful flavor of vinegar.
Mhm.
Right? Vinegar is hard to pair well with other foods. And I mean, it certainly does pair, but getting it right is not easy.
That makes sense.
What do you think, Marika?
Oh, no.
Does it work?
And that's
Or the
what
beets
Meredith-
too earthy?
So the meat goes I saved it like house red.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
I don't think the onion cover of it
too much.
right in a way, and the cold ones are kind of the cold white, I think. But
I just dumped my cold white all over the floor. I'm
the
gonna
beets
get dry out.
Might need to. You know, the rosé goes pretty well with this.
Oh, Lord.
Just saying, because it's got rosé is kind of a red and white in between things.
This is, so what's in this?
No, this cheese though, which is just sort of the focus anyway. I think that has to sort of, as it's absorbed the flavor of all the other things, the beet juice and the vinegar.
The feta. Yeah, the shots of feta in there.
That's going to
Right.
like that's right as well. That's interesting.
So what is in this? Beets,
Beets,
onions,
cucumbers,
cucumbers,
feta,
From her garden.
feta.
olive oil,
Little olive oil and
balsamic
balsamic.
Can we steal this recipe from you? Serve it in our deli?
You can have it, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
This is delicious.
it's very few ingredients.
Yeah.
It's very straightforward.
It's
Yes.
summer, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
I like to keep that and wrap it, in a tortilla shell and have it as a,
Oh, wow.
as a sandwich with a little bit of lettuce and.
Oh,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And when I made it the other night at home, I put avocado in mine. PJ isn't a fan of avocado,
Not a big fan.
but it sort of made it added a creamy layer
Oh,
in
yeah, I
there.
can
And
see
you
that.
got
I could see that'd be nice. Yeah.
that oiliness of
so
the.
this is with the feta cheese. Like, interesting to see with this, the one with the sort of the hard yogurt.
Yes, the pork.
No, actually,
Pork, that might be an interesting
Yes.
combination as well.
Mhm.
when I looked at that bowl, I thought that bowl was like, I thought it was breakfast bowl with like strawberries. I thought I was going to do the pork in there. So
Right.
when I see that, I thought, oh yeah, it's like you want to put it
It looks sweet.
It looks sweet, yeah.
It
It's
does,
like dessert.
with all the red, but-
But I love the fresh fragrance. I love that.
This is really delicious. Yeah. And the feta has the right tanginess, or I don't know what the character is, just the saltiness or.
The salt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And do you vary that? Is that how, feta's not the same. Feta. They're all slightly different because of what do you change in the feta besides where the milk comes from? How do you nuance a feta? How do you make a feta slightly different than another feta? Or is that done? I don't know.
Some of it is, there's a couple different ingredients that go in and can kind of play with that a little bit. We add, which I think is probably similar to what you found with wine when you go to look at how to make it. There's various ways and everyone's got their recipe to make it. So kind of looked at a lot of different recipes and kind of blended in what I thought would work. And we tend to use buttermilk as part of the process in making the feta, and then at the end of it, we always age it at least a couple weeks in a brine, so that we don't serve it. You could eat it directly, but we always make sure it's at least 2 weeks old before we would sell it, just because it needs to take on some of the flavors and things. And
In the brine.
yeah,
The other piece of oven for the feta is, if it's commercially made, it's going to be made in a big slab, and if you get a cube, they're cutting in cubes versus when we sell it, our customers get the full block. So the texture changes. The middle of that block is going to be a little bit creamier than the outside. So you get the whole effect. I would say too, the weighting it down, right? People, that sort of changes sometimes. We've noticed.
right. How many times, we experimented, how many times flipping it over while it's draining, how long it needs to drain and things like that. So that'll all change the pH level in the cheese. And, the higher it is, it tends to be a little softer, the lower, the firmer. So we try and now make sure we hit a certain number and it's done. But that's after making a lot of different batches and finding out the differences.
Yeah.
We're still learning today. We've been doing this for 15 years and still figuring it out.
So you guys, I think, could identify with this. So when you make the fresh cheese, the ricotta, we make it, you can eat it right away. The pork takes about 3 days to age. feta takes, as PJ said, a couple weeks minimum. So it's sort of like, I think, winemaking, right? So we've looked at experimenting, for example, with cheddar. Well, PJ makes the cheddar. He's got to wait 6 or 8 months to figure out if what he did worked, and then he's got to remember exactly.
Tried 10 years.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother different role. That's the harder part. A lot of these wines reach their peak 10 years from now.
You have to be really patient. I remember the first year we were commercial and thinking to ourselves like, oh my goodness, we're making all this wine. We're not even going to be putting it in the bottle for a year. And some people won't be drinking it for a couple or 3.
And it might not reach its peak till
It might not
2020.
reach its peak till now.
And you
I think
pull
we
it,
set up for that.
and you pull it when you think it might be done, and
Yeah.
you it might not be.
You
So you
try
just got to give it more time,
Yeah.
not give up on it, right?
Well, yeah, the thing about bottles of wine is that the individual can come and sample those wines, see what sort of flavor profile they like, and learn about the ageability of that wine. And then they can take that wine home, put it in their cellar, because it's all going to be gone here, whatever. And so if they want that wine, they need to buy that wine and hold on to that wine to see how it evolves.
Sure.
And that's it. And it's, it's different. A well-aged Parmesan, may be sitting in that spot perfectly for 10 years, and you go and you buy that and you eat that, and that's it. Someone else aged it for you. And
Interesting.
you're not going to age it further. You're going to consume it. Wine is different. You get it along its trajectory, just as it's sort of launched, just as it's a teenager. It's gone out of the house. And, that's it. It might have the potential to have a beautiful career and do all sorts of things, but you don't know that.
So that's part of the challenge of being a microdairy is thinking about that, and we have to store it, right? So we can have the feta. Now we have to have the refrigeration, and it's all the product's all with us. Or if we wanted to age a cheddar or something, or a Stilton, or now we're trying to figure out how are we going to do that. We don't have an aging space yet. We could build that on and get licensed to do that and those sorts of things. But right.
Yeah. And it's a return on the investment. So you store it for 3 years and you sell it for 10 cents more.
And your
Is
customers
that worth it? I don't think so.
I don't know.
So we're down to the last 5-10 minutes or so.
Oh my goodness.
That was like dessert over there. So I went to
Yes.
dessert, and then I want to
She's still on.
It's good. We'll just sit here and talk and drink and throw wine
What are we
around.
going to see from you in the next year? Where's your yourself growing from here?
That's a great question.
But
Yeah.
You stole my question.
Where are you going?
Awesome.
She's learning.
Can I grab those 2 dishes?
I sent a message down to Travis, our chief manager, when we need to get up and try some of these.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
they might be for Travis.
Gonna hold off on that one. It has some glass in it.
Oh, it does?
After it broke, yeah.
Molly,
So
if
I'll have to
Molly,
heat up some of that.
if you wanted to, if you kind of wanted to put
I
their
took them off.
I don't know. I have to review
Yes.
the
Why don't you
roll.
put them on
no
low, pick them
idea.
up
I was
and
thinking-
share them?
I think I was just holding it. I think when I moved, it slipped out of my grip.
Oh, and then you tried to grab it and then you snapped the stem.
They are
Delicate.
impressively fragile.
Yeah. Well, don't we know? So I don't know what happened. It was weird. I didn't get anything with it. I think it was just this.
Just happens. Just happens.
All right, so dessert.
So in that spoon is our cork cheese with the sweet cream. So it's a cheesecake, basically cheesecake spoon shooter. And then the cannoli dip is in the waffle bowl. It should have had mini chocolate chips. I apologize. That's usually how it's sold, is with the mini. It is what it is.
That's what it is.
Beautiful.
Got that on the scene.
I should just-
My dad is a special fan of the cork. Our niece takes the cork and makes them into little ramekins with graham crackers on the bottom, cheesecake, and then the fruit on the top, where she turned it into sort of like a key lime pie.
So this was just the.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work with it or not. I just have to figure it out. Good luck.
Oh.
That's what
That's how you do it. The whole thing, one shot. Done. You got the full effect.
oh my gosh.
All right, I got to ask again. So this is the pork cheese
And sweet
made,
cream.
made with sweet cream, whipped, like just whipped in with sweet cream.
Mhm.
Anything else?
And then the
What am I going to put that down?
calorie-free, natural sweetener.
TBR. I'll try that.
How much of food is
But that's in the sweet cream. So there's really just two ingredients are the quark and the sweet cream.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's all you need.
That's a deep,
It's
deep
delicious.
No,
So it's
TBR
fun.
doesn't work at all.
We were trying to figure
Deep
out,
blue would work great. Yeah.
we were trying to
Blue
figure
orange,
out,
blue.
preparing for tonight,
Or blonde blonde.
how to do this. We've never done this before with sharing our product like this. And like trying to figure it out. When I was like, what if we start and we build? And I hope you guys can get a sense of, oh, that's the, you remember back to trying the pork. And so
The
we can,
original, yeah.
right?
That's
And
it.
then
That's the fun of it all,
yeah.
right? I mean, that's
And this
that's
is
cooking.
the
That's
same sweet
crafting. That's
cream
creating.
mixed with our ricotta cheese.
That's also, but it's different. It's very different.
Oh my
There's a
God.
different brightness in a way for ricotta. I don't know what that is.
I feel like just getting a waffle cone with some of this one.
And that's cannoli cone. That's what,
Mhm.
that's what it tastes like. Yeah. I mean,
And this is like a cannoli.
It can be served with a cannoli chip. This is nice because it's just, you know, our customers can buy one box of them. They've got their serving dish if they're, you know, up here and they're at a cabin or they're camping. It's, you know, you got your dish, you got your chips and
Something I haven't seen. Packaging. Do you have a special label or how do you package it?
that's amazing.
It's taken us a while.
if our Facebook page, you can see our sort of our logo and a little bit of our brand. Packaging has been our nemesis.
Yes.
We have the challenge is the feta, because it's in a brine, leaks in any container that we put it in. So
Yeah, you see feta in these little, you know, you get Chinese soup in or something like that, a little plastic thing with a lid and
yeah, and so,
it's starting around. And that's feta. So it's not like an attractive packaging.
right,
Oh, whereas other hard cheeses you can really make
Right.
very cool looking, very attractive.
So I'm being, you know, Ken does the wonderful job making all the beautiful wines.
He does all the
here.
upfront stuff.
And I do all the stuff thinking about packaging and marketing.
Mhm.
And I would tell you the same thing applies with what you're doing as does in the wine world. The package is more than half the battle because you have to remember somebody, you know, most people are going to be introduced to your product for the very first time by seeing it, not tasting it. And they need to see something that looks enticing. So
Yeah.
take your time and get that right because that's as important as the cheese itself.
and we have a logo. We have our state approved sort of labels we can put on the product. And we agree. I think that's part of it, Bob, is that we know that it's such a big piece of how the product's going to be sold is the packaging, and then but you also don't want to be held up on, you know, it's sort of this. We got to get going so we can
Right.
be selling.
But the way you
but
get
then
going is to have a nice
the brand and the
packaging.
right, and so it's we've struggled with it. Maybe you can help me offline on it. Give me some.
Well, I certainly offer whatever advice I can, but no doubt take the time to get that right because you will benefit from that for years to come. So, but before we go, and we're right at the end of time, I'd like to know what does the end look like for you? I mean, are you someday are we going to find your cheese on the shelves in California? What do you want as an outcome of this? And maybe you don't know right now, but what trajectory are you on?
Well, step one is figuring out packaging.
Yeah. Right. Which you will do, and then what?
You know, it's interesting. I think you would find our stuff in a shelf in California right now. But part of that's because I think PJ, you share this. We love people experiencing our cheese. And so it's that human connection that comes with it. So when COVID was happening, I wasn't necessarily seeing my customers.
So do you
but-
want a little bistro where people come in and you're
Oh my
serving
goodness,
and
wouldn't I
you know
love
you're
that? But I love
okay.
that.
So
But
you-
that's not that.
Why not?
Well, this
I
guy,
gave up on that a
this
while
guy
ago.
spent a long time in the kitchen and is,
Someone else takes your recipes and puts them out there for you.
exactly. I
You
love
just hang up wine and greeting people
I love
and
that.
smiling. How, and in eating and making sure that the chef is doing it right.
I think they like
True.
to test.
How about that?
It isn't bad.
Hooking up with a couple of other, businesses or restaurants that are interested in working with us to figure out how to incorporate our products into their menu. I think we can offer something very unique in that way because PJ does have the culinary experience where even down to he knows in his own head, he's like, well, Kim, that's going to be a pain in the neck for the kitchen. Like they're not going to be able to serve blank. You
Right.
think it's a great idea, but that's not feasible in the kitchen. And if he can add that in a way that other cheesemakers or people
Might
who are
not
selling
know.
other products
Right.
might not know.
Hmm.
So,
That's good. That's important.
and that is when he comes alive. Like when he's in the kitchen, but also that piece of sharing with folks,
Like he's doing right now.
like he's doing right now.
Like he's doing right now.
I'll switch with you.
So that's
Thank
great.
you so much for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. This is so impromptu. And it's always
Yes.
the most fun when it's.
So are there some, while we're still live and we've got people out there watching, are there things that you would want to present to people? How do they get in contact with you? What's a good way to get your cheese? How does this help you reach more people?
So as of today, I would say if you're tuning in through Facebook, you can find us on our Facebook group, which is Mochi's. Bobby tagged us on a bunch of
Yep.
them.
LinkedIn comments.
A wonderful
Great.
place
Very
here.
good.
You can also drop my cell phone. So right now we do private orders, so people just text us or message us, and then we have a sort of honor system, drop refrigerator, people pick up their order, drop the
Put
cash,
some money in there
or
and
they'll
go.
know us.
Yep.
But my cell phone is 603-630-2210. And on our Facebook page is our full menu right now.
Facebook group.
Facebook group,
You should start a business page. It's easy and it's free.
and that's better, okay.
And it is better. You can tag it. You can connect up with other Facebook pages more easily. That's not to suggest that a group isn't an okay approach as well. But I think you need your Facebook business page gives you an identity.
It's interesting. So we started the group because we had our friends and family who wanted our product before we were licensed.
It was before it was a
And
business.
before we were selling it,
Now
right?
it's a
So
business.
now you're right.
Now it's a business.
Now we
So now that's another
now we
step.
get to make that
Yes.
step.
And then-
First it was a forum, got
Yeah.
people that are into cheese, you're talking and blah, 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 blah. And now you have a business.
And it would be-
And there are great tools out there for, scheduling posts and you can, if you have other social media accounts, you can link them and things like that. That really gives you tools to.
And we'd love to find some local places that would sell it, that could sell it and have the product available because we have the private sale piece. And it's great, but there's so much room to grow.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's the sky's the limit. It depends on what you want. You will make it happen if you want to make it happen. You have some
You
great
can have a little
products.
bistro.
You have some great
Couple years from
energy. Yeah, no, I think you will make of this whatever you want to. So that's
Right.
the future is up to you. I think you can.
And it takes, and I think that you guys would understand this, and your audience who have small businesses. It takes those little bits of or opportunities where somebody gets excited about your product. Or, I can remember last spring I was getting an outfit for my son's graduation, and I went into Lake Effect, and I'm talking to Michaela. She's helping me pick out an outfit. I don't know her from anybody, and I could see that she was so happy about, in her story. And so
How
she
she
told
could
me
help you.
her story.
Yeah.
And then I told her, I make cheese. And she goes, oh my gosh, you make cheese? I make that. And I went home, I grabbed a block of that. I brought it down and just dropped it off and said, here, all right, she's great. She picks up a couple blocks every month. It's almost consistent, but it's those little moments of the conversation I had the other day with Karen and Linda, who were excited, and then they connected with you. And then we, and then it gets us that next round of all right, this is fun because we both work full time. So, but when you get that, you get somebody who is kind and lifts you up or connects with you. And you go, all right, let's keep going.
That's important, and it feels good right along. It feels good, just as good for me today when I meet somebody new who's excited about what we're doing, and and make a new friend, and
Yeah.
it's all part of the process. So.
And I think appreciating that same type of business person, or I appreciated both of you guys earlier, your humbleness in terms of everybody's starting, everybody's growing, everybody's sort of winging it. And so,
Oh, yeah.
like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
So I think that's so important.
It's part of the process. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Well, we have surpassed our hour, so we really say goodbye. We will be back again next Monday to see you with a topic to be determined, as always. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for yet another Monday. I hope we see you again on future Mondays. And thank you for coming out and joining us on such short notice and sharing your fantastic cheese with me. That was a real joy. So absolutely, thank you.
It was fun. We chatted a glass.
We chatted a glass. Yeah, I ruined that beautiful dish. Oh, sorry, I screwed that up.
So for the next 30 seconds or so, my bill is still live. Start dancing or doing something, people will actually see you. Of course, it always does. So I have it under camera.
Next
Looks like
time.
the picture was close because I didn't know it well enough. It would be hard to do. We don't have to. Oh, all right. I use when I start cooking stuff.